Welcome to Demo This, Build That, a show where luxury gets a little dusty, design gets real, and dream homes are built from the ground up. We're taking you behind the scenes of high-end renovations, from demolition day drama to custom finishes that wow. Now, here's your host, Elizabeth Vergara.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Demo This, Build That podcast. Welcome back, all you listeners. We are here with our friend, Katherine Gallardo. She is an interior designer, journalist, and photographer. She does everything. Tell us about yourself, Katherine. Also goes as Kat.
Thank you, Liz, and thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yes.
I'm Katherine Gallardo, Kat Gallardo. I'm an interior designer, decorator, photographer, and journalist. I write about interior design, travel, textiles, and my photography is also based on heritage craft and textiles.
It's so much fun. Oh my God.
So big mix of things, but I feel like they all overlap a little bit, and it's fun to keep it. It's just exciting to have a couple of different creative endeavors.
Oh yeah, definitely. You kind of like mesh all of the things that start with like interior design and like get through all of the outlets like you're doing with your writing, and you're getting all these really fun, cool like projects that you're writing about that has to do with interior design too, and like the source of it. And then you obviously have your photography, which spans so much with interiors, with like these beautiful environments that you get to go see, especially when you visit like Argentina and all that, which is exciting. And then obviously the interior design world where we mesh together and meet halfway there. But I think for us, what like really drives us in terms of what we do together is our projects with residential interiors. And when we come together, you bring all of the creativity and the selections that we mush into the construction side of it too. So how is it for you when you're starting a project and clients are coming to you? Like, what should they come and expect when they're going to take on a renovation?
Okay, so from an interior design perspective.
Yeah, let's start with that.
Okay, sure. Well, I think when starting a renovation, clients should definitely hire their design team together. So having a contractor design, build, a decorator, an architect, depending. And having a good team and understanding like who's doing what project. Like, because you and I overlap in, with material selections, but I'm more on the decorating side and you're more on the
technical architectural construction side.
Interior, CAD queen.
The CAD queen, oh my God.
The CAD queen. So understanding who's doing what on the project.
Yes.
And letting that person like do their role. So you're doing the drawings, maybe I'm doing the material selection for that project, or maybe you're doing the material selection and then I'm focusing on the furnishing.
Right.
So, I feel like there are different ways to work depending on who you hire, what they do. Are they design builds? Are they an interior design firm who has architects in-house?
Yes.
You've seen it.
There's a whole variety. There's like a million ways to cook it, and you're totally right. I think when we've come in, knowing that the industry has so many ways to like put this together, when you start that, you kind of do want to have a clear understanding of the components of your team and who's doing what. So like, for example, you're right. Like you can be on a job, we can be on a job together, and you'll be selecting the beautiful finishes and the fixtures and faucets, towel bars, all this fun stuff that you see behind us. Thank you, Elegance and Hardware. Shout out to you. And then we'll be putting everything and putting it together architecturally. So we'll be doing the drawings and making sure like technically, physically it's going to work. How high does the plumbing fixture go? Where are the tiles that you've selected? Where's the grout lines, the seams, all of that? Like the get down to like what's actually going to get built part of it. So it's like it's important to have a good chemistry with that and make sure everyone understands who's doing what. Because otherwise, when it comes down to actually installing it and it's getting to that point where it's going to become real and there's no guidance, it gets really, really muddy. So Yes, get the right team, guys, please. That's so important. It's probably like one of the biggest things that you'll not regret, like doing your due diligence on.
Yeah.
And it's so important.
Yeah, and hiring everybody at once, I think is key, because I think some clients have the contractor and the architect first, and then maybe
Later,
line they're like, oh, we need an interior designer to select finishes,
like,
or we need an interior decorator to select furnishings like sofas and lighting. But a lot of those decisions, as we know, the decorative decisions are made with, during the architecture phase,
right.
the interior architect, like, for example, if we have, motorized shades, like,
Yeah.
where is the electricity coming from?
Right.
Do
Is it hardwired? Is it low voltage? Like, what type is it? What are you using? Like, what are we selecting and all of that? It's integrated,
Yeah, and then looking at the floor plan, so the furniture plan, and, are we putting decorative sconces on the walls? Where are we placing them? What is the layout? Like, let's say we have a living room and we have a floating sofa, like, in the middle of the
Right.
room, and then we have a side table there. And let's say the client wants to read on that sofa, so then we're going to stick a little reading lamp,
Right.
like a tiny little reading lamp, but that reading lamp needs an outlet in the floor.
Yeah.
So these are decisions that have to be made ahead of time,
Right.
incorporated into the electrical plan.
Way before construction.
Yeah. Or floating shelves, like
Yeah.
57th Street project. The client wanted really modern floating shelves in the kitchen. Where else? The floating cabinets in the
Right.
den.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's under cabinet lights, floating shelves, even like in vanities where you have like the under toe kick lights, all of that needs to be coordinated,
Yeah.
And some of these things, it's an afterthought, but ideally you have it done and thought about when you're planning in the beginning with the architect, with the interior designer. And then the contractor knows, oh, I'm actually running this many LED low voltage wires. Where are the drivers going? So there's so many integrated details that go into construction and going to like renovating a home that if you do have all the right people ahead of time, it's really honestly for the best rather than like bringing it and waiting it in for like a while. So ideally we're working together from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like
From day one.
ideal. Yeah.
On day one.
1,000%.
Yeah. Not even just the contractor, but if they have like an AV team.
Yeah.
Like, what are they calling them? Not AV team, but like,
Yeah, no, the audio-visual team. Yeah, the AV team.
yeah, the AV team.
They're so
speakers, TV, all of the like crazy, LED fancy lights they have.
Yeah. Like if they have a Lutron system or if they have like a speaker system or motorized shades, all of that gets into one system typically. And then there's like an AV rack that has to be dedicated in a closet somewhere. It's not just an invisible thing. It is like it has to be physically somewhere. So like just having all of that in the know ahead of time is just really going to help you guys probably like save so much money and then also like really just feel better during the construction phase because you're not like kind of like trying to figure out how do I wire it now that all the walls are closed up. Like that's the worst because then you're channeling and then you're plastering and that's a change order and that's never fun for anybody.
No.
So
we don't like change orders.
No, we don't. No. Ideally, we avoid change orders at all costs, but obviously with that means very well planning. Like you want to plan ahead of time very well.
Yeah, and even for artwork, to code blocking in the walls, so knowing
Right.
where are we putting big art pieces, say the client is an art collector or wants to be an art collector, or we have some fine art photography that is spanning the whole wall. Well, you need to be able to support that canvas, that painting,
that large, heavy piece of art.
Otherwise, it'll tear down the wall.
Yeah. And it's going to, that's not, you definitely want blocking in the wall for that. So it's something you just have to like think ahead of time. So you have the space, you have the material, and it's installed properly ahead of time. But if you do have the right team, then all of this should, in theory, go very smoothly when it comes time to the installation. And then it's a much better renovation process, which we love to see and have our clients experience because that's the best way, honestly. So please, guys, do your due diligence and hire the best team that you can.
Yes, super important.
Yes.
And I think another point about having a decorator or designer on the project from the beginning is that I see, I see the project, I have the vision from the interior architecture, which we've worked on together. I have opinions. I always have opinions.
Oh.
Um, and I see that from the beginning, but I'm also the one that is seeing all of the tiny little details, like, yes, the hardware, the bath fixtures, the doorknobs, down to the pillows.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the one worrying about the pillows and the shades, but, it's like the jewelry of the house.
Yeah.
But I'm the only one that sees that because, let's say, like an interior architect, you're not thinking about pillows.
Right.
You're not thinking about how it's all going to look at the end of the project.
Right.
Contractors and
Oh, God. Yeah.
So I'm the one that has the full vision, and I think it's really helpful to guide clients from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What are these architectural elements going to look like with these decorative details, and putting all of that together, I think is really, it's key.
Yeah,
It's how
absolutely. No, I think that when you have something that's so well thought out and you're going through the installation for it, and then you come on site, because like obviously like when the contractor's doing his thing, he's not worried about like what the end look is going to be. He's more worried about like, let me construct this to get it to the point that I see on the plans. That's his guideline is the blueprints, but the selection process and the specifications of everything, and like where things are required behind the walls, like that need to happen for the contractor, that needs to be thought out way in advance by the team. Like that's where we have to like understand what we need to deliver to the contractor to be able to build it right. So that vision really only comes from like the interior designer. The architect translates that over for the builder. So that's why all these components are just so important. It's always best to like really make sure you think through like how you're going to live in the space and how it's going to affect you when like you're finally sleeping there and you want that light switch by your bedside table instead of walking all the way over to the door to turn on the light. All these things like are very integrated in the way that you live and function in the space. And that's our expertise there. Now, let's talk about something else. Like, when have you had projects where you have had the opposite experience, let's say, where you've had, not a nightmare situation, but like more so like where this wasn't the case, where everything was brought in ahead of time? What happened? And like, what would you have done differently in that situation?
Okay. Well, we can talk about.
Oh, really? Okay, we'll go into it.
Well, our clients who are so lovely hired a contractor.
I love them.
Very nice people, yes. Hired a contractor based on a recommendation from a friend of theirs who had worked with him successfully, and it turned out very badly. Yes. And so, doing due diligence is so important.
Yeah.
For a client, knowing which questions to ask. And my regret is, the thing is, they had already been in contract with him. So I feel like if they hadn't been, like, I wish I really pushed them to work with you. Oh. Because they would have turned out so differently, so differently. But yeah, it's, that's why it's so important to hire the best contractor you can. Yes. And just, even if it's like maybe beyond your budget a little bit, because a bad contractor is just going to cost you so much more money.
Yes.
In the end, there's going to be mistakes, there's going to be change orders, there's going to be oversights.
Right.
So yeah, I think at least like now I'm super careful about projects that I work on. Like, I'm not going to work with a contractor that I don't know. If I can bring you on a project, I'm going to do that. Like, yes, 100%.
Very transparent.
Yeah, because I think it makes such a big difference on a project when you're working with someone who knows what they're doing, and you can rely on them, you can trust them, you know that they're not going to run off with your client's money.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of
there's so many scary things that obviously like you don't always think about ahead of time, but it's good for us. Like, what we want to bring to the table here is like transparency of understanding how to go about it and how to navigate those waters, because not everybody knows like what to even be afraid of. Yeah. But, when you run into like a nightmare situation where, let's say we're brought onto a project and the builder is not up to or equipped to doing the project, whether it's because they're not experienced enough or they don't have the right team, or maybe financially they're not even equipped, and that's even the scariest situation. But it's really hard to know if that's the situation that you're in unless you are able to do your due diligence. And part of due diligence is really getting referrals, recommendations. Hopefully you get to see like a project that this person has like completed recently so that you can see the end product, if you're happy with it, the quality and craftsmanship, and then hopefully speaking to like past clients or past referrals so that you can see how it actually went. Like that's what you really want to know. But it's not always, it's hard when like sometimes you're recommended to somebody and you just think, oh great, like this is going to work out great, but sometimes it doesn't. So you still want to do your due diligence on that.
Yeah, and I think it's really good to get recommendations directly from an interior designer or an architect. Like, who do you like working with?
Right.
Because we already have that relationship.
Right.
So, like, I call you, Liz, I have this new project for this new client, and I know how you work. We already know how each other works.
Right.
And so I trust recommending you to my clients, and I know it's going to be easy and it's going to be an easier experience for my client because we're not reinventing this wheel,
Right.
and I'm not having to get to know how this works, or if she has
or unexpected,
like communication issues.
Right.
I think it's good to work with the same team as often as you can.
Ideally, yes. Because then you have that experience and you already know how it's going to go. It's almost like it becomes easier for everybody, honestly. And you just have more confidence in the project, which makes you feel more, it's that's the experience you actually want to have when you're renovating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just say, if you can, please do your due diligence, visit the apartments, talk to referrals, ask your designers, ask your architects. And I mean, if you've done all of that, ideally everything goes perfectly well. But definitely still have room for budget. I would still say there's always leave a 10% wiggle room there for budget, because some things always come up. Things that either haven't been thoughtfully, through, maybe because it wasn't something that you had before and now something that you want, but you didn't know it. And maybe it doesn't happen until you start. So there's always something like that. Or the building itself has some issue, or there's a requirement that the DOB comes up with nowadays that they like to throw these new codes and rules and regulations, and it affects the budget in the end. So just leave a little bit of room for budget.
A fire gas riser in the middle of the kitchen.
Yes, exactly. You'll demo an entire apartment, have a beautiful plan, and all of a sudden there's this teeny tiny riser, and like
in the middle of your floor plan, in the middle of the walkway in the kitchen.
Oh my God.
You have to redo the whole plan.
Yeah, and it affects everything. It affects that whole layout. So that's always like a fun way to pivot. But we've dealt with those too.
Yes.
Do you enjoy working more on like the interior selections or the furnishings, like the hardware and stuff, or furnishing side of it, like the pillows, the art, the decorative elements?
Both, because I feel like they work together.
Yes,
definitely. I just like having full control.
Who does it?
Yeah. Because I think the vision is really cohesive.
Yeah,
when you can do it all.
Yeah.
Rather than coming on a project and there's an architect that picked out some ugly fixtures and we're like, what are those? And then you have to just
work with it.
Deal with it.
See.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just not a cohesive vision sometimes.
Right.
But I think all of it can be really fun.
Yeah. No, of course. Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite vendors that you like to work with, furnishings or fixtures wise?
Well, Elegance and Hardware.
Of course.
That's the friend we worked with on our last project.
They were so great. They made everything so easy.
Yes. Yeah. Super responsive. And that's important for vendors. Well, I like making custom furniture. So it's just, you can't compare. Like you can't compare buying the sofa from like a retail
interesting
shop.
Yeah.
Other than having something bespoke and made completely for you. I mean, I love working with Grupo Quintana.
Oh, okay.
So the best of the best. And they're a Guatemalan family and they're here in the city. You can go to the showroom. You can sit on all of the upholstery models.
That sounds lovely. Oh my God. So then
Yeah.
like you get to feel what it's going to be like before you even order it or have it fabricated.
Yeah.
And they customize anything,
Everything.
however you want.
They make the frames there. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
They make all of the frames. You can test different cushions, different fills, different feather, different foam. But everything is completely bespoke. So if you have a very tall client, you're obviously going to have a taller seat height. Yeah. If you have a shorter client, then you're okay with like a 17-inch seat height. I mean, I've worked on projects where the clients were like 6'4", and so yeah, so everything needed to be custom.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So yeah, I try to use custom vendors when I can.
Yeah.
And the quality is so much better because you're going to have that sofa forever.
Right.
You know,
That's what you want. So you're planning for that.
it's an investment.
Yeah.
It's a total investment.
Yeah.
And those are the fun projects.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. But in terms of vendors, right now I'm exploring a lot in Argentina.
Oh.
I'm meeting a lot of weaving communities.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
Yes. So going to the source and understanding where do these textiles come from?
Yeah.
Who's growing the materials? Who's raising the llamas, the sheep?
Oh my God.
Because I think it's important to know where.
That's like a whole different world I didn't know about. Like most people don't.
Oh, it's such a beautiful, profound world.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to check out her writing and the photography about this. I can't wait to read your articles and all of that.
Oh my God, super fun. So yeah, just trying to get to know more artisans directly rather than buying from brands who say, oh, we sell artisanal products, but who's the artisan? The artisan is anonymous. You don't know who makes it.
Okay.
So yeah, now I'm trying to
really get to like the actual source.
Yeah, meet the women, meet the weavers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's a whole different way of sourcing products. I mean, there's a lot of showrooms in the D&D that have really beautiful textiles, and
yes,
like Sherry has beautiful lines,
right?
John Rosselli, but those aren't. I mean, I think Holland Sherry, yes, has their custom line, but in most cases, you don't really know like where the fabrics
like where it
coming
actually comes
from.
from.
Like yeah, it's hard, and there's so many brands like you don't have time to research every single.
That's a lot. That's a lot of work. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So like when you are doing this research, are you like also planning to like, would you ever have like your own line or something? I feel like that's, I mean, I know it's like a left field question, but would you?
I've been thinking, but okay. I mean, I don't know if I need to add it to my plate right now, but I think it's something that I've been thinking about for a really long time.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and it would be a very collaborative project, but we don't need to talk about that.
Okay. Got it. I'll let you do your thing. Of course. Oh, that's so beautiful.
It's like the early seeds
of course. But that's amazing that you even have like the exposure to see all of that, because that's like a whole niche section of our big world industry. You know what I mean? Like the interior design world is so massive and there's like a million components to it, and you get to see like the sources of specific parts that it begins with, and that's just like so beautiful because it's so pure, you know, and like it that must feel so amazing. So I can't wait to see more and hear more about that when you're ready. Yes, definitely. So Kat, what do you think about like why should clients hire a designer? Like what's the big reason they should be hiring a designer?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think clients should definitely ask themselves, well, what do they want to achieve with a designer? Like, what can a designer do for them that they can't do for the project? As a designer, I'm an artist, but I'm also a problem solver.
Yes. Putting out fires all day long.
All day, just putting out fires. And, you know, I think people think that interior design is really glamorous.
Oh, good point.
And it can be. It can be. It's very fun. It is. Sometimes it is. There are parts that are glamorous and fun, and you know, you have fun clients, and you're designing beautiful things, and you're spending other people's money. I mean, it's fun.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's a fun project, job, everything.
But that comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
because we're spending our clients' life savings.
Oh my God, yes.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Sometimes in the millions of dollars.
Yes.
So, and they're paying us to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're making everything beautiful, but along the way, we are designing, solving spatial, architectural problems within the space, and problems that just arise with building and contractors and
All of
DOB and, all that fun stuff.
Yes.
So, yeah, having a team that knows how to handle the issues that come up along the way,
Yes.
how to manage a contractor, how to oversee their work, how to anticipate problems. Because once you do this many times,
Oh, yes.
you already know what you need to do. Okay, like this is due this week. This is being delivered. Okay, we need to install X before this is delivered.
Right.
Whatever situation it is. Or we need to get this trade here to do this electrical because the medicine cabinet is going in or whatever, the situation is. So just anticipating that timeline, because the timelines can be super long.
They could be.
The project we worked on was supposed to be like a year. Tried to answer 2 years because of the contractor. Liz was not the contractor.
It wasn't me. That wasn't me.
She should have been. So yeah, anticipating it so that there aren't delays and you're not held up.
Right.
And yeah, so we're problem solver, artists, the problem solver,
Definitely.
firefighters.
I think if anything, that is like probably one of the most important parts of the team, because you're able to like, people end up coming to you in the end for the answers to the millions of questions that get asked on the job site. And it's like a bottleneck. So if the client ends up being that person, that's where it gets scary, because they don't have the answers to everything. Having a designer who knows the process, knows what to do, knows the construction, the timeline and how everything gets put together, that's the person that should be answering those questions, ideally. We understand like there's always budget and everything that has to go into, the equation, but at the same time, budget will get totally blown out of the water if you don't have that key component. And that's when it gets a little scary. So unless you have a lot of experience in that field, it's really, really recommended to have and hire a designer who is well-versed in the renovation world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, because if you're not meeting your timelines, like on our last project, the building gives you a fee every week that you pass the construction design.
Yes. And
so,
this is very common in New York City. I don't know if outside, we're so used to this, but I don't know if outside of New York City, there's like other buildings that do the same. I can imagine maybe in like metropolitan areas, it's like that, but definitely New York City is like constant. Every time you go beyond the timeline of your buildings, a lot of time for the renovation, you get fees, and it builds up daily. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
So you want to stick to your timelines if you can, as much as possible. What would you say is like a look of a successful project for you?
I would say having a good team where you have communication with the client, with the contractor, with the architect, and that it's a collaborative environment. So, yeah, because I think a lot of times what happens, or maybe not a lot of times, but in some cases, the architect has such a vision of the architecture and like there's no
wiggle room or
other ideas.
Right.
There's room for ideas from the designer, or I think some designers or architects can be very rigid or have egos.
That is something that, yes, very true.
Yeah, so having a team that can openly communicate and throw around ideas and collaborate is super important, and admit when they're wrong. I think admit when you're wrong and
let's find a solution.
Yeah, find a solution and admit that you don't know something. Like, I don't know something on a project, and you're like, let me find out, then I'll get back to you. I'm not going to give my client the wrong answer on something. I'm going to call you like, Liz, what is this? How do we do this? How do we do this? How do we go this? Because also as designers, I have ideas about the design. I don't know if they're always possible. Like you see that, or the client has a crazy idea. Like
Right.
last project,
They want to see something
fun.
cool. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, her design for the den with the like
Oh
concrete
yes.
wall,
Oh my gosh.
the
It was
fireplace,
the coolest
the
design.
TV, the floating cabinet. We're
Yeah.
like, how are we going to do this? Now, and he figured it out. Yes, that was a collaborative effort. With me, you, the contractor, the milliner, the embroiderer.
Oh my God.
Everybody
The
was
AV guy, the electrician with the outlets and all, it was everything. Yeah, that was a major team meeting. I would say there was like at least 10 people in that room when we were trying to go over all of the details there.
Yeah.
That was a true collaborative moment for real. That was great. I actually thought that was like a good, like, let's set it up so we know what goes in first for this to be able to happen, because it was so many components to get together. That was cool. But yes, ideally, yeah, when you have a beautiful team that is able to like bounce off and work with each other in a very like proactive kind of way, that is a successful team right there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Because there's also so many moving parts, like exactly in that done and throughout the whole project.
Right.
So it's always this constant communication about timelines, deliveries, deadlines. So yeah, open communication.
Yeah.
Collaborating and just understanding who's doing what on a project.
Yeah.
And that everybody's roles are very clear.
Right.
What else do you?
Well, I would say like that's a good point about the roles being clear, because sometimes they get muddied over each other. You know, like there are times where like the handoff to the next person is maybe not everything's totally delivered to the other person, or maybe it is, but maybe the other person has already done something towards that goal too, and then it gets like lost in translation. So again, very clear communication, meetings, responsiveness is also very, very important, because the responsiveness, sometimes you'll send out an email requesting some information or something, and it will go unanswered for several weeks, and then it's a little too late when it gets down the line. So like responsiveness is just as important too. But having a team that's able to like work together to find the way to build what the big picture is, that's ideal. That's what I would say is also a very successful team.
Yeah. And I think being able to design the client's vision, whatever vision we create with them in the design plan, and really executing that and exceeding their expectations of what they thought was possible for the space. That always feels.
I know. Well, that's why we do what we do. That's part of why we love doing what, it's artistic, it's beautiful, and at the end we're like, and the client is like, and we're just loving it. That's our bread and butter right there.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's their forever home.
It is, yeah, oftentimes actually. Because oftentimes I think the types of renovations we do are most of our clients' forever homes. So there's so much care that we really have and put into it. Well, Kat, thank you so much for joining us on our podcast. Can you let everybody know where to find you?
Sure. I'm Kat Gallardo. Kat, KAT _GALLARDO _ on Instagram, or KatherineGallardo.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being on our podcast. And thank you everybody for joining in. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to Demo This, Build That, where the dust settles and the magic happens. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone dreaming up their next space. To learn more about Elizabeth and her work, head on over to vergarahomes.com. And remember, great design doesn't just happen, we build it.